Join us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. Okay, we did not have any discipline motions. We have the agenda in front of you, consent and agenda approval. I have one a correction to the agenda, and that is item number 13A. It is the 2023-24 proposed budget, not the 2022-23, okay? So that's just change it for one more year. Okay, that's the only, as far as I know, that's what I'm offering as our correction. Do I have a motion to approve the consent and agenda?
I move.
Second.
Second. As amended?
As amended. Okay, I have a motion and a second. Roll call vote, please.
Mrs. Sang?
Yes.
Mrs. Corey? Yes. Elder Park?
Yes.
Pastor Miller?
Yes.
Mrs. Trader?
Yes.
Mrs. Collins?
Yes.
Dr. Adams?
Yes, motion passes 7-0. Thank you very much.
So as a part,
I was gonna say, you did
with
something
Kim
much.
Pest as his intro, as a part of that consent agenda, we just approved the hiring of a new principal, please get
Yeah.
a principal for Northridge Middle School, Mr. Michael Corley. Please come on up and.
The microphone doesn't actually boost your volume, but it's
Okay.
for online,
Very good.
so they can hear you online.
Yes, understood.
Yeah, it'll
Thank
pick you up.
If you could tell us about yourself, your history, and how you come
Sure.
home to Danville.
Yeah, absolutely. Been born and raised in the Danville area, certainly. Moved here and attended Bismarck Junior High School. Lived on the middle section of Tuttle on the north side of town. So went to Bismarck Junior High and then Danville Schlarman High School. So I'm a hilltopper, but don't hold that against me, please. That's what I've been telling folks. Everyone's been kind about that. So yeah, deep roots in Danville. My parents still live here, so again, it's a chance to come back and serve in the community, which I was born and raised, and so looking forward to that. I come to you most recently from Morris Community High School. I was a building principal up there for the last 4 years. I come also with 20 years of administrative experience. I began my career as a social studies teacher at Normal Community High School, where I taught 8 years, and then I began my administrative career there in Unit 5. So, but we're excited to be here, and I appreciate the opportunity, and we'll do the best we can. And that's going to be a great year. Excited for it. So thank you for the trust.
Welcome aboard.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Let me just say real quick, if you don't mind. Mr. Gurley has hit the ground running. I don't know what all was said before I came in here, but I applaud him big time. As administration, we have been seeing just excellent things from him so far, and he just stepped right in and has done the job like he's been here the whole time. So we appreciate you, and we are so thankful to have you with us. So thank you.
I didn't miss any, everybody else has been hired, right? From across the room? Okay, all right, good job.
So, Danville is the Ridge Runners, okay? The high school are the Vikings. What was Morris?
Well, that's an interesting question. We went through a major name change. Unfortunately, they were a long time the Redskins.
Oh,
That doesn't play very well these days, but you can imagine. So we went through that process over the last 4 years. It was just the Morris football team, Morris basketball team. We are Morris. It's kind of what they're going with now. So working with Jocelyn and some agencies, we've got 4 names picked up, and the student body's going to select one of those later this week. So you have to be determined.
wow. So they're in the midst of that.
Yeah,
So,
I was rooting for the Morris Red Storm, but we'll see what happens.
okay.
And I think just how you come full circle, I just found out your prom date was Missy Quarterpassy.
Homecoming freshman year.
Okay.
Homecoming.
Your sister.
And Annette Hummel, she double dated with us in one of my It was a double date. Yes.
Are you serious?
Girl.
Small world.
Linda Gorley have a picture somewhere of that homecoming.
Small world.
I was gonna say, welcome home, man. My,
This is such a small town.
been as big as Morris. Okay, that's good. All right, well, thank you, and welcome, and congratulations. We certainly are glad to see you here. All right, that brings us to, are there any other items that you would like to bring up before we go to public comments? Golfer.
Maybe 2 or 3 times a year. Good evening, Board. Dr. Geddes. I'm Mr. Brett's principal of the high school. Just here for some shout outs to some staff and students. Want to recognize them. The first one is kind of a biff from the last time I was here. I neglected to promote the Anything Goes DLO Teen musical. I went to that 2 weeks ago, or 2 weekends ago. It was phenomenal. The DHS students not only starred in the show, they were the show, the whole show almost. So current members were current students Bryce Martin, Lanny DeVores, Dio White, Zach Pollock, Allie Cox, Isabella Norton, Gavin Baugh, Aiden Cox, Isaiah Easton, Paige Norton, Cora Helfrich, Andrea Downing, Lizzie Scovern, Bailey Easton, Brooklyn Warfield, Xander Rouse, Sarah Tabos, and Serenity Reed. Absolutely phenomenal. I couldn't have been more impressed with their talent, and just seeing kids do something they love and excel at it was really great to see. Also, we had a couple recent graduates, Polly Norton, Ted Mann, Mirabella Biaggi, Hannah Schrader, and I forgot to mention this young man, or this student 2 weeks ago in my weekly call, but Ryan White as well, did a great job. And hats off to Jordan Ritchie, Katie Ritchie, and Kathleen Swears, all district staff members who directed and produced the show. Last Friday night, our DHS cello players played downtown for the Danville First Fridays outside the Fisher Theater. Thanks to Mr. Womack and Mr. Escamilla from Northridge and Mr. Womack from the high school for setting that up. But Divine Cousins, Isaiah Easton, Emily Garrett, and Dasani Lewis are current students, as well as alumni Asaya Brown, Janiyah Rose, and Alexis Shaner played and did a great job, so we want to recognize them. Got 2 more really quick. Compliments to the Band of Vikings Booster Club through a great cookout last Friday night they invited me to. I think Mr. Kraft is probably upset I did the dunk tank first, because by the time I was done, they were nice and warmed up, and he was getting dropped quite often. But that was a great time. Our student leaders, section leaders and drum major for the Band of Vikings this year, Alex Kozat is our drum major and alto sax and mellophone section leader. Laney DeVores is the flute and clarinet section leader. David Estes, trumpet section leader. Addison Ohlmiller over low brass and low woodwinds. Eddie Johnson over the drum line. And Isaiah Easton, front ensemble section leader. And thanks to Mr. Kraft, Mrs. Williford, Mr. Owens, Miss Brock, and Mr. Drews for all their work with the band this summer. They've been out there almost every evening putting in hard work. And then lastly, last week we had our freshman JROTC boot camp at the high school. I made a point to swing down and check that out, and the kids were running the whole show. Props to First Sergeant Major Charles Powell. He has been a blessing, a godsend, who came to us last year in the middle of the year, and he really puts the kids on the forefront, gives them a lot of responsibility, and they have stepped up. I went down there, and we had Jillian Potts, our battalion commander, Sophia Sassine, our cadet command sergeant major, and then Allie Rogers, Christian Bryant, Kendall Corley, Nevaeh Doherty, Kenna Corley, and Haley Hostler, and they were the ones doing the whole thing. Like, they were direct instruction in the classroom, running drill, running PT, teaching them the cadet creed, how to wear their uniform. It was just very nice to see students taking a leadership role, and how First Sergeant Major has put them in that role to grow and to excel. So just wanted to recognize our staff and students. Thank you.
I have to say, as an ex-band geek dude, it's really kind of cool to hear section leaders and like marching band. I've never heard those mentioned before, like a shout out. So that's very kind of cool, because it just kind of goes one of those things you just put in. So shout out to them. Well done. Next, any more? That's it? Oh, come on, someone else. Okay, that brings us to item number 6, policy. We have press policy 7190. Do I have, well, there's a recommendation for approval, but do I have a motion for this first?
Yes, I move to approve.
Second.
Discuss. All right, have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Yes, I'm gonna turn it over to Jennifer, clerk.
Yes, so good evening, board. One of the reason that you have board policy 7190 in front of you this evening is that by law, the board needs to include a provision in board policy regarding the use of certain interventions for students. So timeout, isolated timeout, and physical restraint. Specifically identifying that we do not use those interventions as it relates for discipline or punishment. However, we can, by board authorization, the district may use them for purposes as interventions for students in compliance with state law. So that is why you have the board policy in front of you this evening. However, we did note that the version that is in front of you, I believe there is a slight amendment that we need to make to the language based on current district practice. So I'm going to just read aloud for all of you the change to the language that's in the board policy itself. And then obviously answer any questions or allow for discussion among yourselves if there is any. So under the header in the policy, the only new section that is being added is isolated timeout, timeout, and physical restraint. The recommended changed language for that section is as follows. Neither isolated timeout, timeout, nor physical restraint shall be used to discipline or punish a student. Timeout and physical restraint are only authorized for use as permitted in, and then I'm going to cite the school code provision, 105 ILCS 5/10-20.33, State Board of Education rules at 23 Illinois Administrative Code sections 1.28 and 1.285, and the district's administrative procedures. Finally, the district prohibits the use of isolated timeout as defined within the school code provision as cited. The recommendation is that the board adopt the 7190, but inclusive of that amended language, which in sum really means that the district's practice is that you are prohibiting the use of isolated timeout, but you as the board would authorize the use of the strategies of timeout and physical restraint, but only, of course, as authorized and allowed by law and as your staff are trained to do so. So I'm happy to answer any questions there or obviously allow for discussion among yourselves.
The question is a statement that says, obviously, this is in compliance with school code. That's why we're doing this policy, and it does align with school code.
It does. It does, and we want to ensure that by law you have the authorization for the interventions that the district uses included within the board policy. So that's why it's before you tonight for legal compliance.
Okay.
So then, Mr. President, I would like to make the motion then to adopt section 7190 for legal compliance, inclusive of the amended language as given by our attorney.
Okay.
Second.
I have a motion and a second for that. Well, we had an original motion, but that will supersede that motion, so we'll just entertain that motion. It'll just take care of that, okay, Ms. Lakeisha? Okay, so when we take a vote here, we're voting on the, as presented, like the amended, or as presented by her, the 7190 as our policy. Does anyone have any questions on this? Okay, you know what we're gonna vote for, it's 7190, with the recommendation from our council on, how that should be worded and amended. Roll call vote, please.
Mrs. Gardner,
Yes.
Oda Park,
Yes.
Mrs. Payne,
Yes.
Mrs. Towner,
Yes.
Pastor Miller,
Yes.
Mrs. Ford,
Yes.
Dr. Eckman.
Yes, motion passes 7-0. Okay, that brings us to 770, 6B. We have a recommendation for attendance and truancy. Do we have a motion for this?
Yes, I move to adopt Board Policy 770 for legal compliance.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any questions or discussions? See none? None? Okay, we're voting on 770, press policy, attendance and truancy, and with a recommendation for approval. Roll call vote, please.
Mrs. Fowler?
Yes.
Mrs. Gregor?
Yes.
Brother Clark?
Yes.
Mrs. Ford?
Yes.
Pastor Miller?
Yes.
Mrs. Chang?
Yes.
Dr. Henry?
Yes, motion passes 7-0. Wow, that was the easiest policy time we've ever had. Wow, and the shortest. We're usually here for hours talking about this. So that's awesome. Thank you for coming this evening, and we appreciate that. But we're not done.
You're not letting me leave yet.
No, I know, we have more, because we're coming to the grandfather, ownership and education. We have a recommendation for approval pending the final attorney review of the OIE. Do I have a motion?
Move to approve?
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second for approval of ownership and education, a pending final attorney review. Any discussion or comments or questions?
Can you clarify that if, I'm sorry, I do. Can you just clarify, if we approve this tonight, are we allowed to make changes or no?
Well, that's, at any
Yeah.
point in time,
Yeah.
the OIE or your student handbook or any of these other documents that go out to your families can always be updated throughout the year. Often they have to be sometimes when new laws are passed, or if, for example, the district changes a procedure on anything. So the purpose of tonight's meeting and putting the OIE back in front of you is for the annual approval of your discipline rules and procedures as required by law. And part of what we went through when we were together about 2 weeks ago for a prior meeting, and I'm happy to kind of give a summary overview of what we've finalized kind of since that point. But these documents are kind of living, so you're approving it as of tonight, these are the standing discipline rules, but they are always kind of living, breathing documents and can be updated if needed during the school. And then are usually looked at regularly on an annual basis to see if any laws have changed or anything needs to change on the district to be able to set forth for the, upcoming school year, of course. But yes, they always can be updated if needed or changes need to be.
I just know we have concerns, just some concerns on how the new OIE is gonna play out this school year, that's all.
Sure.
Thank you.
And we can amend it. But we want the document, we need something to start off with, so this is gonna be our starting point. Any other questions or comments?
We generally have a committee of parents and administrators, teachers, looking at the OIE. This process bypasses that.
We actually did have that in the beginning, and then after they came up with their recommendations, we sent them to the attorney for review. So the parents in that committee did their entire process, made recommendations, we submitted them to the attorney for legal review, and then they made the legal corrections to it.
Thank you.
And now here we are.
So the document that you have in front of you this evening incorporates what we, what was recommended based on that process and then incorporating from the legal aspect of it. I think the biggest change, which we discussed at the last meeting, is the incorporation and why we have 7190 on the agenda this evening, which takes the place of the previous articles that you had in the document that outlined it, because the authority for student discipline for the district rests with 7190, and we want to ensure consistency from board policy down to the documents that are being provided to staff as well as to your students and their families. And that is why the recommendation for approval is just pending attorney review, which allows us, once you have, now approved 7190, we obviously didn't have that finalized prior to tonight, so following the meeting tonight, if the OIE is approved as is, we will then incorporate 7190, and it'll be finalized and ready to go at that point in time. So it's really kind of somewhat of a technicality of the order in which we have, done this evening. But if there's any other questions in terms of the finalizing of this, some of the items that were previously in the OIE following the direction from the board and then meeting with the administrative team afterwards. Some of them are also removed because they were duplicative between the student handbook and the OIE, and then have decided that we are keeping them only in one place. So for example, the attendance policy that you just approved will remain only in your student handbook and not duplicate in the OIE. Again, just to ensure that we have a more streamlined process and there isn't duplication, which then can inadvertently lead to inconsistency if it's updated in one place and not in the other. So that was part of that process. Overall, I'm kind of just looking over the list of some of the updates, but the 7190 was the biggest piece. But if there are any other questions, I'm happy to answer them this evening.
We should also note that the big part was taking out the chart, the infamous if-then chart that is gone. What is in its place is the board policy, which is consistent with the Illinois School Code. Once the board approves this document, there will be a training for administrators on how to implement using the policy instead of the chart. So, and to Ms. Holloran's point, I want to make sure parents understand, we did not bypass the process. Everyone had, while Jacoby was here, we did all of the OIE meetings, we had the conversations, etc. You guys came up with a document. We then, which is different, submitted that document to the attorneys for review. They went and found legal inconsistencies, parts where we need to obviously update our policy, and they made those necessary corrections. They gave us that document. We reviewed it last board meeting. We then immediately had the conversations based on, we had another meeting with the administrators based on what the directive you gave us in that meeting. And now we've synthesized that and we're bringing it back to you today. So all the steps were taken and then some.
Okay. I'm not gonna muddy this water anymore. So you all know that you're voting on ownership education manual, approving final attorney review. That's an important part of this motion. So if there aren't any further questions or comments, roll call vote, please.
Yes.
Mrs. Ryder?
Yes.
Mrs. Payne?
Yes.
Mrs. Gordon?
Yes.
Mrs. Howe?
Yes.
Elder Park?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, motion passes 7-0. I'd like to thank everybody's input on this process, from our attorney to the parents, to the administrators, to our administration team, everybody who's had something to do with this. And I wish you luck in implementation on the policy as we go forth. I'm interested to see how that is going to work out. But I'm sure, knowing how good we are, we'll make it work. Because we're awesome.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Item number 8, LUDA.
So we are asking to keep our our membership with the Large Unit District Association. They provide us a lot of information that's specific only to a Danville, a Champaign, a Decatur. Some of the challenges we face vary differently from somewhere like a Salt Fork. When you have somewhere around 6,000 students and 900 employees, your challenges are different. And so having that information from them is very important. Remain a member.
So the recommendation is for LUDA dues for $5,700. How say you, board?
Move to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, I guess we're ready to vote. Roll call vote, please.
Mrs. Payne?
Yes.
Mrs. Gordon?
Yes.
Elder Park?
Yes.
Dr. Miller?
Yes.
Mrs. Ryder?
Yes.
Mrs. Howe?
Yes.
Dr. Ashton?
Yes, motion passes 7-0 for LUDA membership. Thank you very much. Item number 9. Addendum to the intergovernmental agreement between the City of Danville for additional school resource officers. And you have a recommendation?
I do.
Okay, let's hear it.
Good evening, Board. Dr. Geddes. I'm John Hart, the Assistant Superintendent of Elementary Schools. And tonight I'm here to recommend that we negotiate with the Danville Police Department and upgrade our intergovernmental agreement with them to add an additional resource officer to cover Southview Upper Elementary School. This is something that I will be bringing very soon, like I do every year, but I want permission to get that out there and start. The process is long, the training is long, so it would be the beginning of January 2024, or even the beginning of the 24-25 school year, before we would have an officer trained. So I would like to move forward with your approval.
Move to approve. Second.
Oh, great. I have a motion and a second. Any questions or comments?
Yes. How many SROs do we have, school resource officers do we have now? And then how many will this agreement be working toward?
So currently we have 3. So we have an officer at Northridge, 1.5, not sure what that looks like, at Danville High School, and a half at Kenneth D. Bailey
Small person.
Academy. So we have 3 currently, and this would put us at 4. And we would either look at just adding the 4th one to the current agreement that we have, or having a separate agreement for the additional officer.
Is there a reason that you're only recommending one more? I mean, I personally, I think, this isn't going to surprise you because I've said this to you before.
You have.
I think we need, we could use more than 4 in our district. I'd like to see one that could float even and, be available at any elementary school. I would like to see there be a bigger presence at KDBA. I know that when one officer is missing, that they're not necessarily replaced if they're sick or something, that because they're technically a employee of the police department as opposed to us. If just stop me if I'm doing it incorrectly. I would like to see there be more than 4. I think it's important.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Having taught at Southview, it's sad to imagine that we have to have resource officers, but that's the sign of the times. Now, you said it takes them 6 to 9 months. Will they go someplace and have specific training?
Yes, but it's not even really as simple as that. So they would they would have to hire an additional police officer to take someone's place as well. So, somebody would have to go to the police academy, the new hire, and then the SRO, whether it be that person or a veteran officer, they would need that training as well. So it usually takes 6 to 9 months to get somebody trained.
Thank you.
So, to comment on Alice's comment, and not negatively, I just want to piggyback on that. Yeah, it is a sign of the times, and also to agree with you, there is this discussion that and you're seeing other states do this, where they're having a discussion about every school has a resource officer. You're seeing some states talk about this. That's going to be an unbelievable cost, but I think we would like to see that. I think that it's not necessarily a sign that there's a problem in that building. It's just that we've seen what happened if there's not security in some of these buildings, and what happens if there is an incident that needs to be addressed. Having that resource officer there immediately on staff, right there, something gets called. It's a great resource. That's why I called it resource officer. It's just great. It's not necessarily because we have a problem with our students and we can't be controlled. It's that we want the security for our buildings. And I don't know about you guys. I feel much better when I see our officers around. So I'm with you. More would be better. I think in the long term, if we look strategically, I think it's something that needs to be planned out. It's not something that obviously doesn't happen in 6 months or 4 months or whatever else, but it's a discussion that we'll have in the future. So, as a short term, I'm in agreement with your recommendation.
Thank you. Do you mind if I comment?
No, go ahead.
On to piggyback off you,
Yeah.
it's very important when our young students form a relationship with those school resource officers. It's difficult when the kind of your first interaction is when you're 7th and 8th grade. A lot of those behaviors are there, or we would just assume that them walk up, know the officer, be able to communicate. maybe tell them if something's going on with them or something that they've heard about. So that's a huge benefit. I could have the conversation with Chief Yates about the second officer. Not sure how possible that would be. I know that they just had some hiring, so they hired 5 new officers, and they had quite a few applicants, and they will be hiring again, but I'm not sure they're going to be hiring enough to hire for their force and us to take from that same pool at this point. So that was the reason for 1 instead of 2 at this time.
That's what I say, I think a long-term plan would be, we would have to talk for, in the next couple of years, what we want
Yes.
to do. And who knows what our landscape's gonna be like in the next couple of years, so. But let's just take care of this motion that we have in front of you. This is for the intergovernmental agreement and for additional resource officers. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, roll call vote, please.
Alder Clark,
Yes.
Mrs. Powers,
Yes.
Mrs. Ford,
Yes.
Mrs. Payne,
Yes.
Mrs. Schrader,
Because I don't think it goes far enough, no.
Dr. Miller,
Yes.
Dr. Ashton.
Yes, motion passes 6-1.
Thank you for your approval.
Item 10, educational support, Laura Lee. A recommendation. Thank you.
Good evening, Board and Dr. Geddes. I'm Kelly Truex, Director of Educational Support Programs. I'm here tonight with Tricia Teague from Laura Lee, and they are going to be presenting their end-of-the-year report from last year, the 22-23 records, and they would like to enter into another service agreement for the 23-24 school year. They will be providing after-school tutoring and also an alternative program for up to 20 DHS students, and this service agreement mirrors what Community Action is doing. So I'm going to let Tricia explain what they're interested in doing and what they did last year.
Good evening, Board. Good evening, Dr. Gaddis. I'm Tricia Teague. I'm the president of the board here at Laura Lee, and I'm also joined with 4 board members. So this presentation is going to talk about program results, the prior school year overview, and then our plans for improvement. So program results, the strengths of our group, just a sampling of the courses provided, community service, and then program impact. And then the plans for improvement, we're going to cover the staff suggested changes and potential volunteer activities. So as of March 1st, and the reason why it was March 1st, because if you all recall, we came for funding to continue not last school year, but the school year prior. We anticipated running out of funds at the end of that school year, but we actually still had funds left. So we proceeded partway through the 22-23 school year. So around March 1st-ish is, it was actually after that, but that's when we were out of funds. So this is the enrollment as of that time. There were 26 freshmen, 15 sophomores, 23 juniors, and 15 seniors. We had 8 of our freshmen sign up for dual enrollment. 5 of them were in AP courses. 7 of our sophomores signed up for dual enrollment this school year. 10 of our juniors signed up for either AP or dual enrollment. And 12 signed up for dual enrollment in 23-24. And then 10 of our seniors were enrolled in AP or dual enrollment, and 15 were accepted into at least one college at that time. There were obviously acceptances going on in spring. In terms of GPAs, you'll see that our GPAs were 2.7 or above, and this is broken down by grade level. 35% of our freshmen had a 3.0 or better, with 2 with perfect 4.0s. Our sophomores, every grade level, obviously we couldn't count freshman increase because we didn't have access to their 8th grade. So you can't count that because we didn't have it. But the sophomores through juniors, you saw a 50% or above, or I should say 57% or above, cumulative GPA increase. The strengths of the group, improve mental wellness. The scholars gained insight into university culture, increased personal and professional development, increased opportunities for scholars so that they are inclined to remain with the program, preparedness for the future, and networking skills. The strengths included mental health. There were guest therapist Natalia Bourne came and talked with students about mental health. There were regular check-ins with the mental health coordinator, Desiree Isaac. and groups discussions centered around the students' mental health. In terms of future preparedness, the kids, we had planned for HBCU college tour this past summer, but that was postponed. Uh, we attended the college fairs at DHS, and in the summer of '22, we implemented a college-like course schedule for students. So they were enrolled in a series of classes that were based on majors. So some of the courses that were provided include book and mind management, event planning and organization 101, financial literacy, turning my diploma into a degree, the 4-year program. The community service that they participated in, and this is actually multi-slide list. There is a back-to-school kickball tournament. They volunteered for the Kiwanis Pancake and Sausage Day. They volunteered during Little League football season. They had their own amazing race. They participated in the Darren Hightower Back-to-School Rally as volunteers. They participate in a cleanup day at Laura Lee, deep cleaning the building and all the classrooms. They hosted a Halloween community trunk or treat for over 135 families in partnership with St. James, who provided the candy bags to the families. They did breast cancer awareness, appreciation, and support baskets. They attended the HBCU College Fair in Indianapolis. 50 students attended that. And then they also volunteered with the Trep School, which happens to be my business, pitch contest for the second straight year. They did Toys in the Hood toy drive, both sponsored and volunteered, partnership with local organizations, providing toys and educational items for 60 families during Christmas. Partnership with the Hispanic Leadership Club at the high school. Participated in the MLK celebration at First Baptist Church in Georgetown, and then also sent Valentine's to Arcadia Nursing Home in February. So this slide, and I am not going to read all of this, highlights some of the responses that the students had to the survey when we asked them how they felt about the program. So I'll just highlight a couple of responses. The second bullet point was from Jakira Harris, who said, "I was a good student before joining this group, but the group has opened my eyes to explore more colleges. I was only focused on one college until I realized there were so many to attend. I also learned the importance of saving money." Imani Hubbard said, "Since joining, I have become more outgoing, found my true self, and made progress in my mental health. I learned with this group that I am not alone and that it is okay to open up. I have also learned how to budget and save money." So those are just some examples of what the students had to say about their experiences in the group. Since we shut down, we also talked about making a number of administrative changes. So the first one is that the board put together a programming committee to provide oversight to the program, because since we don't have an executive director, a lot of the oversight fell to the board, and namely me as president, and that's a lot of oversight for one person as a volunteer. So what we decided as a board was that we would have a committee that would oversee all programming. And so there's 3 gentlemen who comprise that committee, Mr. Dwight Lucas, Mr. Osim Asaze, and Mr. Alvarez Dixon. And for those of you who might not know them, Mr. Lucas has a long-standing career and experience with youth programming, as he once was the CEO of Community Action Agency, and obviously they had the Head Start program, team programs, and various programming. Mr. Osaze is a transport to the Danville community, but he's been here a number of years. He's employed with the University of Illinois. And then Mr. Dixon, who is in the room with us today, has a background in youth development programming in the city of Baltimore, also a PhD candidate at the University of Illinois. So we know that with this group, that the programming will be in really good hands. But in addition to the programming committee, we've also talked with former school board member Ms. Carey, who has agreed to come on as a consulting partner to be able to help our staff with more focus on the educational components of the program in terms of giving our staff the guidance and support that they need to be able to provide the educational supports that students need. And then the third piece is that we will be having a new program director. Our former director did resign, so we will have a new program director for our upcoming period. In meetings with the staff, the remaining staff, we discussed things that they thought should change with the program. So this highlights some of those changes, including collaborating with other organizations, inviting board members to events. That was a piece of feedback that I had received, and I think others had received in terms of what board members would like to see, because there's lots of public events that the youth did, but people were not aware of them until after the fact. So giving board members the opportunity to attend events that they're doing, more community involvement, outreach to all cultures, creating educational activities for students that align with the subjects that they're currently learning in school, and obviously increase volunteerism. Now, based on the volunteerism list, it's like, well, they've done a lot already, but they felt like they could still do more, which I think is a great thing, especially as someone who volunteers a lot in our community. Some of the community service, the ideas that they brought up was participating in the food pantries, and participating in the food giveaways that happen at the school district. Youth football leagues, arts in the park, nursing home visits, sending cards to veterans, Easter egg hunts, tour guides for incoming freshmen, participating with DAC sports activities, and then possibly participating in any community service with you all as board members. And then this is a picture of the group from last year. And so at this point, we will take any questions, and hopefully I'll have some answers.
I had a whole lot of questions, and you answered every one of them
Oh, thank you.
ahead of time.
I come prepared.
Thank you.
Yes, Ms.
Hi,
Green.
I read through the proposal and, as a excuse me?
Oh, yeah, we need a motion.
Oh.
Thank you, Lakeisha, for parliamentary procedure. That sometimes I'm looking at the pictures of the kids and going, oh, and I hear Lakeisha.
I move to approve.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Any questions or comments? There you go.
I was reading through the proposal, and as a retired educator, are you gonna have certified educators teaching the kids?
So the alternative program, is that what you're
Yes.
referring to in the alternative program?
Yes.
We're going to follow the model that Community Action has. So I can't necessarily say that they will be, but I can't say that they won't be either, because one of the things that we discussed was recruiting retired educators to work in the program. Whether or not we get retired educators who are willing, who would want to be in our building daily is something that we don't have any control over. But that is our desire.
Okay. Thank you.
Can you remind me how many students you're going to be serving?
I have that right.
She has
So
contract number.
up to 100 for the after-school tutoring, and they had about 70 consistently for after-school, and up to 30 for their alternative tutoring. It's alternative tutoring for Danville High School.
During the day.
During the day, yes.
So it's if they are put on, and Dr. Geddes can help me with this, if they are put on like a virtual or a platform, then they are offered assistance by tutoring during the day.
So as a part of an alternative to expulsion, the Board of Education and the administration, we've created this, it started with Ms. Odette in Community Action. And instead of simply just putting the young ladies out with no assistance, we created an alternative learning opportunity at Community Action where there was tutoring. The girls actually went there every day. We had lunch delivered. It was really like a school setting where they actually did the EduSeer program approved by the Illinois State Board of Education and was still able to obtain all of their credits to be able to go on to the next school year. Well, that worked so well, I said, well, what about our high school students? And so we have a number of students who are facing expulsion, needed an alternative learning environment. We don't have Mr. Leonard anymore, who was running our virtual learning program. So now we had to come up with a hybrid. So I said, well, why don't we just mirror what we did at Laura Lee, at Community Action at Laura Lee for the high school students. And so now we have a number already waiting, and instead of what was once, we just, if you expelled or suspended, you had nothing, we now have a place for you to go. You can continue your learning with supervision and instruction to keep you on point so that while you are serving your discipline, you are still continuing your learning in an alternative environment, and that you can come back on point.
What happens if we end up needing 35, space for 35
That's why I smiled.
kids?
You must have felt, because when she said 30, I was like, that's next week. I need more than that. So we'll simply come back to you and tell you that I need to.
The service agreement.
I just want to say thank you because I know you and I had like a 30-minute conversation. Some really hard questions that I had asked, and I thank you for answering everything that I had. And I would be more than willing to come to any of your service events to serve alongside your students.
Awesome.
I'll take that as an affirmative then. Okay.
The proposal calls for like 3 initial checks up front in August, so that they can get started and get hiring, and then they're going to bill us monthly per participants.
Is this grant funded?
Yes, ESSER 3.
Do we have,
We are still spending ESSER 3.
yeah, like a range or something that we're looking at on this?
Well, it's $110. You want to know like what it could totally be?
Yeah.
How much it could totally be. Okay, I have that. So if they would see, I'm sorry. You got that?
Yeah.
Here, yeah, I don't want to put it on top of the.
Sorry.
No, I just hold it.
Got it right here. I have it. Okay, I apologize. I don't have that written down here, but if, I do have an idea.
Yeah.
I think it's around $350,000 for the after-school tutoring if they have 100 students every day, all week.
Yeah.
And I think we did it I averaged like 30 weeks because it's 36 weeks in a school year. At $110 per kid per day for the alternative, it could be up to, with 30 kids, that could be up to around $400,000. But they would have to have 30 kids every day for 30 weeks.
Okay.
So that would be the approximate cost.
You have that in your budget? Up that?
Oh, yes, I do have that in the budget.
Okay.
So that my other question is, ESSER funding is not going to last forever.
No, it's not.
So I'm assuming this is going to be a wild, incredible success, and our students that are part of this program will be incredibly supported and will grow, and that it'll be perfect. My question then is, how do we sustain it? Do we have, are you, I know the answer is you are working on it, Mr. X, but what's
What
the
we
thinking
talked
on
about,
that?
I've talked with every community agency. They've known since the very beginning that this ESSER money was a 3-year guarantee. So they are aware that they may need to go out and find other funding with grants. I've put out like grants.gov. I had a couple people call me with different resources, so I've given them resources. We can also look at which one of these community agencies or more than one, did we get the best results? And maybe it's something that we want to put in with district funds. We could put it in with title, additional title set aside. So we still have after-school programming grant. We still get that every year. So in addition to ESSER, before ESSER, we had $16 million, around $14 to $16 million in grant money. So we'll just have to look at, what did we get the best results from, and then work with our community agencies just to see where they can find additional money, and hopefully we can continue to provide those programs. But I have been willing to help.
And I'll add to that. So we actually did apply for and receive Freedom School grant funds. Unfortunately, we found out after the fact that it was reimbursement, and without a pool of dollars to get started, and that was ISB money. So without a pool of dollars to get started to hire staff and then start paying everyone, you really can't execute on that grant. So what we have to do as an agency is look for funds that actually provide startup capital, because we don't have startup capital just laying around for us to be able to continue programming. If, this is a big if, I'm hoping that it happens. For example, I think that this program would be perfect applicant for R3 funds, which is coming from Illinois Criminal Justice Information Authority. They fund a lot of youth programming. And I know that because my business is also an R3 recipient, I know that R3 was given by the legislature last year an additional $200 million. Now, the R3 board has not come out yet and said what they plan to do in terms of spending that additional $200 million. But if that happens, because I'm an R3 recipient, because I understand their programming and how to write those grants, we would be perfectly positioned to go after those funds when that does come available. But we can't bet on that. But we can continue to look for those types of funding programs.
And Community Action obviously already is grant funded. But Gateway, I've been working with Gateway. I will say for me, this has been a learning experience because most of my grants have always been ISB, but now I'm getting all these other resources where I see that money is out there. So I know that Michael and I have worked a little bit on thinking about what he can do moving forward too. And we were writing a grant together and then the deadline came, so we decided to hold off until the next year. But I've seen a lot of other resources as well.
Have you talked to the mayor, and possibly the next time the casino wants to give away money, that Laura Lee should be in line to get the donation, which it should have been first anyway because Laura Lee's been around forever. But have you talked to the mayor about the possibility in the future?
I have not had a conversation with the mayor about this specifically, not me specifically. I know other people most likely have had conversations with the mayor about that. I do know that one of the things that happened with the funding that the casino gave was there's also a large amount of funds that was given to the United Way. So one of the things that could also happen is that when the next round of funding happens next summer with United Way, that Lower Lee could become a United Way agency again.
Good.
So
Good.
that's one of the things that we've talked about previously. So it's not far-fetched for that to happen.
Great. Thank you.
I just look at this right here, the background in being able to generate funds for our community is like the dream team right here. And it's a great partnership.
Thank you.
I've learned a lot.
So
Okay, so first things first, we have the proposal for Laura Lee. You have a recommendation, and you've already had a motion and a second. So we're voting on approval of funding for Laura Lee. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, roll call vote, please.
Mrs. Gordon?
Yes.
Mrs. Ryder?
Yes.
Mrs. Kane?
Yes.
Pastor Miller?
Abstain.
Mrs. Holland?
Yes.
Brother Park?
Yes.
Dr. Evans?
Yes, motion passes 6 ayes, 1 abstention. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah. Sounds great. Sounds great. Okay. We still have a lot to do. Curriculum. Adoption of the state Illinois high school graduation requirements for DHS students.
Good evening, Board, and Dr. Geddes.
Thank you all.
My name is Mary Ellen Bunton. I'm the Director of Curriculum.
Mr. Bretz, principal of the high school.
And we are up here tonight because we would like to ask for your recommendation or approval on extending the graduation requirement hold for the students that are currently at Danville High School, because it is set to end with our current seniors this year. So the memo has a brief history, and then we also included the graduation requirements. There was a document that was sent with the memo that has all of the graduation requirements. You can trace that through. So we're just asking for your approval on our recommendation to hold that just for the students that are currently at the high school.
So move.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any question or comments?
I have concerns. How does the removal of early bird impact the schedule for credits? Will our students be able to, if we don't pass this, let me clarify that. If we don't pass this,
So, I think that's kind of the main reason right now. So prior students had up to 56 credit earning opportunities across 4 years. If they chose to take an optional early bird all 8 semesters, you would have an opportunity to earn up to 56 credits. And currently the graduation requirements are at 44. So I know some students who missed out can take an online class. I don't know if that's maybe the best replacement for the long term for our students. So right now, holding at the 6 credit earning opportunities per semester at the high school, they have a chance to earn up to 48 in-person credits with teachers at the high school, with the graduation requirements for current freshmen through juniors being at 44 total.
with us lowering our credits to 44, did it increase our graduation rate? I mean, did it have an impact on our percentage on graduation?
It would have. That's a good question. Probably should have anticipated it. That's something I could get.
I have the data.
For the counselors.
I have the data. Actually, our graduation rate in 2022 was 67%, up from 21 at 61%. Our highest rate was in 2020, which is the year ending the pandemic, and that was at 73%. But prior to that, we were in the 70s during 2017, 2018, so it has not increased our graduation rate. And my question to piggyback on that is, was it designed to increase our graduation rate, or the lowering of credits, was that designed because we don't have elective teachers?
The original one, and that's the history here, was because of the pandemic. And so that's what
Correct.
this was. And so I think the graduation, it's difficult to say right now how this impacted the graduation rate because the pandemic is mixed in there for a little bit. So I think we need just a little bit more time to know if how that impacted it. And the credits, this allows with the shorter day in the schedule, or the shorter amount of times that the students have to be able to get their courses. This gives us, the students don't have as many electives to try to get. This makes sure that we're getting the courses that the students need based on what the state needs, and not all those extra electives that we were requiring locally. And so this gives the students a better opportunity to make sure they meet those graduation requirements.
But they still can take more courses if they like, correct?
They could have before the shortened day.
Students who missed out on a class can currently opt into taking an online class. But in terms of in-person opportunities with a teacher in a classroom at Danville High School, they have 6 opportunities a day, which is 12 a year times 4 years, 48. So.
To make sure everybody's clear about the requirements for graduation, all of our students are still required to meet all the state required credits. So nothing that was done eliminated what the state required.
We can't, no.
So-
So the only thing that this does is take away all the extra ones that we had put in.
All right, thank you.
Can you tell me why we had put those in?
That was before my time.
Same.
Yeah, that was before my time. I have the list of all of them, but there were a lot of, I believe from the discussion that we had when we were looking at reducing them during the pandemic, if I remember correctly, it was because we were trying to the thought was that that somehow increased the rigor and also to keep the students at the high school, so they weren't they weren't leaving, or they were taking as many classes as possible. But we're addressing that in a different way, because we're trying to get as many of our teachers at Danville High School able to teach dual enrollment classes. We're working towards that process with DAC right now. The state's given us, kind of made that process easier. And so we're finding different ways to do that without having to pile on the amount of electives and PE classes and everything that the students need to do that. And it's probably a better way to approach that for our students. Bless you.
It was an attempt at rigor.
Yes.
The discussion was on rigor, and we wanted to make this a more intensive environment, which, some things need to be revisited.
And this gives us a little bit of time to do
I
that.
have a question. Something to stick with allergies, something is happening. I'm sorry, go ahead.
So at one point, when we reduced it, I know that some of the classes, we just didn't have the teachers. We took I think a semester of science out, because we had that extra semester required because we didn't have science electives. We didn't have enough, we weren't running with a full science team at the high school. And we couldn't offer those electives because all of our teachers were teaching the basics. So are we, how does our current situation change? Or does does that rationale still apply with what you are suggesting now? I think I'm piggybacking off of what Ms. Holleran said from the real reason why we brought it down. Is my question unclear? You have this strange, I don't know what you're saying, Shannon, look on your face.
I have an example maybe that might fit your question better.
Okay.
I looked at the state requirements for graduation and foreign language, for example. However, when I was a counselor, foreign language was a requirement for college. And that doesn't meet the requirement for college. So
If you.
Foreign language isn't a current DHS graduation requirement either. Now, students would most likely take that as part of meeting the 11.5 elective requirements required to graduate from the high school. To me, I think it's just the concern of right now it's the margin for students has just grown thinner with the change in the schedule, and so we're talking about a gap of 4 credits leeway here over 4 years. That is a concern to me. But yeah, I'll leave it there.
And it does become a requirement for
28.
students that are entering in the year 28, 29.
2 years would be added to the state requirements.
it's what's added then.
So that's why we don't, because there's some, if you follow this, there are some changes, so we wanna, but those are state requirements, and the way we've written this is that we will always follow, we have to. We will always follow the state requirements.
But we're gonna have to take a look at our schedule because right now it doesn't accommodate that.
So we need to, so that's why it's just, let's just keep it with these kids that we have right now. And then that gives us a little bit of time to probably see how things go, see how our graduation rate is going, see if it's a benefit. I do think the PE thing has been helpful, for sure. And then we can kind of see how our students are doing and then revisit this in a year or two and then make maybe some more permanent decisions.
Can you share just a little bit more about the online piece? Many students don't do well with it, and that some really do. And as I understand it, there are course offerings that are offered on the. Well, first of all, the platform that we use is something that's already approved with the state. If I'm.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Oh, yeah.
And then there are some courses there that can be offered that we can't offer. Like I'm thinking the really highly advanced courses, French 4 or something. Things that are just. out where there would be only one or two students in a class. So in a way, it does extend that course offering beyond maybe what we can offer with our current staffing. Just because there may only be a couple students that would do that. Do I have a correct read on that? You know, I just don't want people to be in despair about this 48 credits. Because for those students who really want to do the extra, there are opportunities, I believe, in that offering. But maybe speak to that so the folks who are watching can maybe have a little hope.
I think we provide a tremendous amount of opportunity at the high school. Like we do offer French 3, French 4.
We always want our teachers first.
I don't,
Right.
I'm trying,
of course. I didn't mean to.
I don't want to speak out of turn. I guess I think we have a very robust elective program at the high school that needs to be supported. I'm thinking specifically career and technical education, AVID, our foreign language department, art. Right now, the opportunity makes it hard for students to go take advantage of that fully, and the leeway between the number of credit earning opportunities they have and what is required to graduate, that margin has thinned quite a bit. So to me, from my perspective, that's why we're here.
Okay.
I just have one more thing. I want you both to know that I appreciate how hard you've worked on this. I know that you've spent hours laboring over how to do it and how to present our kids with the best opportunities. But I am not in favor of having lower credit requirements. And so I will vote no, but I don't want it to be a reflection on how hard you've worked and how much I appreciate what you've done.
Completely understandable.
Can I also, as far as a parent's perspective, I didn't realize that we can offer, my daughter had a gap in her schedule. She had no class, and I met with a guidance counselor, and she is now getting a college credit not through DAC. And I had no idea what she was talking about. We offer, as a district, a class through a college online course. Do you know what I'm talking about? Because you guys are looking at me like,
You know about the paper I took to you last
it was
week?
through DAC. I'm sorry, it was
Yeah.
through
Okay,
DAC.
yeah, it was
I'm
through
sorry,
DAC.
it was through DAC, but I was thinking it
So I
wasn't.
thought that I had DAC on the top of the paper.
It was,
Yeah.
but because there was a difference. I was confused. I'm sorry. There's the dual enrollment, but then there was an online course that I thought they had to go to the college, and they don't. They can take it right at DAC. I'm thinking I have to pay for this, and I don't. The district picks up that portion, but as a parent, she's a senior. How do we let our parents know that?
That is new this year. We've
Okay.
been working really hard to fix that. We spent a lot of time last year and second sem, especially working on those things. So we do plan on having a meeting. Ms. Hummel's worked really hard with us too. Those students are gonna get different laptops. We really refined that process last year, and there were a lot of students that were very unfortunate test subjects for. I don't know what else to say. I felt terrible for them last year, but they worked with us, and we worked out a lot of kinks last year. And then we've partnered with DAC and really we have lots of systems and processes in place that we developed last year. And so things are going, I'm gonna knock on wood. Things are going a little bit better than they have, so we're able to do more than what we did last year. And we have some, so that's why you're knowing about them, because we were able to offer them. And we've met multiple times with DAC to make sure that these opportunities were available. So we do plan on having a meeting to make sure that everybody's aware of them. And we have flyers made, all that type of stuff, but it's just been a lot.
It
Well,
has
we also
been.
have 3 counselors right
Right.
now at the high school.
I did see that. That's a
They're a little
concern.
Overwhelmed right now and just getting the regular schedules ready for the year.
What is the practical effect if there's a no vote on this? What happens? I mean, does that mean we're not following the state requirements?
No, that means
No,
that
we
we'll
are.
have a lot more than the state requirements. And I think our concern is for this,
And that's not necessarily rare to have more.
it's just we have a lot more.
It's just if we're going to have more, just making sure that the students have the opportunity.
May I make a comment as well?
Please.
So are students in 8th grade, do they have the opportunity to earn high school credits?
Yes, in 3 classes, biology, algebra, and, no, 2, biology and algebra. They can take keyboarding at Northridge to not have to take it at the high school, but it does not give them the computer literacy requirement they need. They can jump that class into something more
And
advanced.
if they take PE in the summer, grade and something like that, can you take it for high school credit?
Yes, you can.
Thank you.
Your summer going into Danville High School, that 8th grade, you can.
For high school credit.
For high school, yes.
There's a way to make it happen. We're voting on the adoption of the Illinois high school graduation requirements for DHS students. Any other questions or comments?
This is for our freshman, sophomore, right? Because our seniors are already at this, and
Yes.
our juniors are already at this?
Just the seniors.
Just the seniors?
Current seniors are the only class under the relaxed requirements from, due to
Okay.
COVID.
Okay?
So you're asking to keep them at the same requirements?
For all current students at the high school right now, not necessarily extending it past our incoming freshman class.
All right.
I was looking at the requirements for graduating seniors, and I don't know if people realize, but starting in 2024, or actually this year, they've really upgraded, and you have to take computer science in 2024, 25, 2 years of laboratory science, 28, 29, 2 years of foreign language. I don't know if the masses or the students have any idea what's coming, but it's going to make a big difference. And are we able to have the individuals needed to comply with these new classes?
We have those classes right now,
Okay,
but the difference is right now with foreign language, that is a choice
right.
that you can take with a humanities as part of your humanities. So now that will have to be, like, they'll have to take a humanities class and the foreign language class. So the state is increasing the amount of electives, or the amount of credits that the students need to take.
I also noticed that, which I think is great, is American Sign Language as an
Counts as
option.
It will be counted, I'm excited about that. 'Cause
Okay,
that was
yeah.
one of the things I took in college, that was part of my
Great.
major. So, yeah, we're
Okay.
excited about that.
So we're on adoption of the state Illinois high school graduation requirements. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, roll call vote, please.
Mrs. Payne,
Yes.
Mrs. Schrader,
Yes.
Mrs. Holler,
No.
Pastor Miller,
Yes.
Elder Park,
Yes.
Mrs. Corley,
No.
Dr. Ashton.
Yes. Let me add that up.
5-2.
5-2 passes. I thought it was 4-3, but, okay, 5-2 passes. Thank you.
Okay. And we're still up here together for one more.
No, I'm gonna say
Oh,
something,
sorry.
because I don't wanna wait because we're all gonna leave. I didn't wanna muddy the water, so I'm gonna muddy it afterwards. I look forward to, we've been for a long time talking about offering, having an online curriculum, a total online curriculum. And we're just kind of like, maybe just, things like this are going to shove us into the future. We're wrestling with this with 2023 technology and thoughts, okay? This is not the way it's going to be in 2026. I guarantee our climate and environment is going to change. It said it's not going to be the same. We're going to we're gonna encounter problems and we're gonna solve them in a different way, not a brick and mortar way. We have all sorts of options that are gonna be for us, so I look forward, it's another challenge that we need to find a resource for. So, and I look forward to that because we've been trying to get to it. I think we'll get there somehow and look forward to that future. Now,
I think we might have we're kind of cusping on that right here.
yeah, here we go.
Okay, so we have a proposal for a class that we would like to offer. It's a first reading tonight at Danville High School. In 2022, the state allowed us to start offering a college and career readiness seminar. We'd like to offer this at the high school for juniors and seniors. It would be a quarter elective that they could take, and the beautiful part about this course is that they don't have to have a spot in their schedule to be able to take it. But they will have support at school. And one of the things that we do want to try, while we're going to start out with Google Classroom, we do want to move this course to Canvas, which is a little bit more robust than Google Classroom and would allow us to start kind of moving in that direction. But that's so this is a course that it would allow students to, no matter what post-secondary path that they're on, whether it's military, career focused, immediately out of college, out of high school, or trades, or college, that they are able to spend a quarter or more if they want to, working with a staff member to prepare products that will help them move in that direction.
Move to approve.
Oh, it's just first reading.
Oh.
But thank you, I love that enthusiasm. When would this be if we proved this in a future meeting, which we probably will because we're anxious to do it? When would we be able to access this program, this college, this thing?
Friday.
Oh, really?
Well, I mean, with the board approval, I mean, we would want to do it.
I mean,
as
but
soon as-
it's that quickly that it could be, like this fall, it's gonna be available. Okay,
We
great.
think we could do that.
Brilliant idea.
Yes.
The support you said that will be available, is that from the guidance counselors or the deans or who?
It would be in tandem with the staff member and our guidance counselors. I think having an apparatus this course set up and maintained by a staff member would enable the counselors to partake in a greater role, whereas setting something like this up and maintaining it would be a tremendous tax on their time, especially with the current staffing situation, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But so it would be a combination of both.
Thank you.
So this is, it's kind of, the way I'm thinking, what I'm seeing is, this would be helping a student with their resume, maybe helping them get prepared for the ASVAB, and
Yes.
helping them write their
FAFSA.
college essays, things like that.
So we would be looking at mapping out by quarter what the logical progression would be of events for both, say, a four-year college-bound university student, maybe a student that's looking into the trades or military. So this course could also be taken more than one time by a student because the focus of each quarter would probably be different. And so what we're seeing is students are still needing a lot of support and really intentional instruction around taking the quality guidance and support that they get from their school counselors and putting it into practice. And so mapping it out, what does that look like at the junior and senior year? What should you be doing in specific progression of steps at certain times of the year? And then combining both online and some in-person exposure opportunities, more intentionally walking students through that process.
What is FAFSA, FAFSA, what does it stand for?
Free.
Oh, my gosh.
Okay, I'm sorry.
It's the
Free
foreign,
It's the federal financial aid.
Okay.
And that's actually a state graduation requirement too. Every student has to do it, or the parent has to sign an opt-out waiver.
Okay,
And that would be one of the first things on the docket
I
for
see that.
both groups of students.
So when Dr. Geddes does an amazing thing where she meets
With
with
the seniors.
the seniors, and so a class like this would be super supportive of that process, and hopefully she would find a lot more students that have resumes done and their FAFSA completed and really being able to speak to that process, so.
Well, I know usually in October for seniors, there's a big thing where you have financial aid people and all kinds of folks involved in college, university. Are we gonna continue in that same vein? Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, thank you. Okay,
Molly, especially.
yeah, item 12, special ed.
Thank you.
Select Savvy.
Good evening, Board. Dr. Geddes, Molly Bailey, Director of Special Education. Tonight I have a couple things for you. I'm asking to contract with a physical therapist. We do employ a physical therapy assistant in the district, but legally, to complete physical therapy evaluations and to supervise the physical therapy assistant, you must have a physical therapist. So since we have a PTA, physical therapy assistant, in the district, we don't need anyone full-time. So this would be for up to 6 hours per week, contracted through Select Savvy at a rate of $85 per hour. So I recommend your approval for the school year.
So move.
Second.
I have a motion and second for the approval of Select Savvy for up to $85 an hour. Questions or comments?
How many students will be on the caseload for them?
It varies per year. Right now, we have about 15 students on the physical therapy caseload. But these people also spend time in our life skills classrooms, helping with our students with the most severe needs as well.
We hired this company before.
We have not.
This is new.
This is new. I've canvassed the United States for employees for special education this year.
I'm sure you have.
Are they local? No.
No, this is actually virtual.
Yeah, that's right. Oh, piggyback.
When you say, that's what I just saw, I assumed they were in the classroom, but they're not, are they?
They're virtual.
They're virtual. How
There
would
is
they
no one.
help? How do they help the life skills students virtually?
So this person's for 6 hours. Our physical therapy assistant is in the life skills classrooms, but this person would help supervise, direct, be on the screen, doing things just like we did during COVID. On the screen, showing kids things to do, talking to the PTA, giving them things to do, completing evaluations, things like that.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Okay, we're voting on physical therapy contract with Select Savvy, $85 an hour. Roll call vote, please.
Mrs. Fowler?
Yes.
Mr. Prater?
Yes.
Ms. Tang?
Yes.
Dr. Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Corley?
Yes.
Elder Park?
Yes.
Dr. X?
Yes, motion passes 7-0. Deaf and hard of hearing teacher contract.
Thank you. Our caseload for students who qualify for hearing services has increased somewhat, and we have a couple students with high minutes. So in order to fill those minutes, I'm asking that we contract with Soliant for a deaf and hard of hearing teacher for up to 10 hours per week at a rate of $87 per hour. Last year, we contracted with VACE, and they don't have the additional time. Also today, I received an email from a fellow director in Champaign asking for DHH services. So everyone's needing these people, and there are none in this area. So this will also be a virtual person. We're looking at our older students, looking at the high school kiddos, because obviously they would be able to utilize that virtual service a little bit easier than our younger students. So up to 10 hours a week, $87 per hour. She will work with our current deaf and hard of hearing teacher that we employ in the district.
Move to approve.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second for approval of the contract.
I'll make a
87 an hour?
87 an hour.
Yeah, for Soliant?
Soliant.
Soliant.
And this is, we've already contracted with Soliant for other services.
Okay, for Soliant Health. Any other questions or comments?
Yes. When you said, sorry, Ms. Quillen.
You're fine, go ahead.
Okay, when you said that you have some students with high minutes,
Mm-hmm.
is that part of their individual plan that they
Yes.
need a certain number
Their
of minutes?
IEP
for-
that we are legally obligated
Yes.
to provide the minutes to those students.
So that
If
they
we
have-
do not do that within 10 days of the school year starting, I have to send a letter to the parent telling them we are legally not providing their service. And then I have to offer them compensatory services some other time after school, during the summer. There is no getting out of offering these services. We will do it in some manner.
And
If
with-
it's not through this, it will be another way that I have to go figure out.
Without them, though, we can't currently do
We
what
can't
need to do.
currently do it in the school day with one teacher.
Okay.
I don't know if it's a comment or a question. I know we have one currently. My concern is I understand the need for this. I truly do. I get that there's no applicants and that there's no one applying for these positions. I guess my concern is how sustainable is this if our employees keep leaving our district and then contract back with us for more money? Because if we have one teacher, I know she's not getting paid $87 an hour.
None of these people are not our people.
I know they're not. We're contracting with them, correct?
This is a
like-
contract agency that
Right.
so this person I've never met this person before except for.
I know. I guess what I'm saying is our employee
Uh-huh.
is not getting $87 an hour. But we're gonna pull in an outside contractor to do the same work for less hours. I know that.
We're paying the agency $87 per hour. I have no idea how much they're paying the person. We are paying Soliant. We're not paying the
Okay.
person. So they are taking a cut of that money. So that person's not making $87
So it's not
per
just
hour.
the person, it's the company too.
Correct.
That looks better.
Yeah, I have no idea how much that person's making. I just know
Okay.
how much we're gonna pay Soliant to provide us that service.
Thank you for clarifying that.
yes.
Because I could see as an employee how that could hurt or be offensive.
And I understand.
Yeah. It's
I'm
just
the
more of a
biggest
comment.
advocate for special education
I
staff members to make as much,
I know. And I
um,
do understand the need for, I do.
Mhm.
I do.
outside
pay
the
a
box,
premium.
that's where I'm going.
We have to pay a premium for the service, especially for special
Right.
services that a lot of people are seeking. So
Correct.
I'm glad we could find somebody. Okay, any other questions or comments? This is for deaf and hard of hearing, Soliant,
Soliant.
up to $87 an hour. Roll call vote, please.
Dr. Miller?
Yes.
Mrs. Schrader?
Yes.
Mrs. Payne?
Yes.
Mrs. Corley?
Yes.
Mrs. Fowler?
Yes.
Brother Park?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, motion passes 7-0. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Unless you want to do the budget.
Oh, no, thank you.
Okay.
It's freezing in here.
It's freezing. It's the 2023-24 District 118 proposed budget, and you would like permission to display it.
Yes, sir. Good, evening board, Dr. Geddes, D118 family. I am Narcissa Rankin, Director of Business and Finance. And this evening I am requesting that the district post proposed 2023-24 budget. I am proposing an estimated $124,079,382 in revenue and $129,463,116 in expenditures. The budgeted revenue is approximately 95% of what is estimated from all revenue sources. And this is a deficit budget of $5,384,726. Keep in mind that included in those anticipated expenditures are the finishing up of the HVAC projects that are funded by ESSER, but also the approved Northeast and KDBA expansions, updates to the 72 edition, and then the DHS football field and bleachers repairs. The ending fund balance pre-audit is $34,783,610. This is approximately $3 million less than anticipated with FY23 budget, and the difference is largely due to all of the ongoing facility updates. So we will continue to see a slight decrease in the fund balance because of all the construction that we have going on. However, we will continue to meet the board policy percentage for the minimum fund balance. So I am requesting at this time that the board post the 2023-2024 budget.
For comment.
So move.
Second.
Could you tell me the revenue number again? I'm sorry.
$124,079,382. And about 30 million of that is ESSER.
Any questions or comments? This is just to display the budget. It will be on display, and it'll be online.
Yes.
There'll be a hard
On the
copy.
website, yes.
So I guess if you have questions, we can answer questions on this. So, and then when will we come back and vote on this? When do we?
So I need to post for 30 days.
Yeah.
So is that the second meeting in September?
Okay, so for 30 days it will be posted, so everybody will have an opportunity to
Yes, sir.
go over the budget. It's very fascinating. So, okay, any other questions or comments? Do we have to vote on that?
Commissioner
Yes.
Display?
Okay, the motion is permission to display. Roll call vote, please.
Ms. Kane?
Yes.
Ms. Corey?
Yes.
Kelly Clark?
Yes.
Dr. Miller?
Yes.
Mrs. Stratus?
Yes.
Mrs. Howard?
Yes.
Dr. Ashton?
Yes, motion passes 7-0. Oh, that was not to pass the budget? That was just to
Yes.
display the budget.
Tentative budget.
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay, one more item.
yes, please.
Recommendation
This is
for an
important.
auditor.
Yeah.
So this year, Clifton Larson let me know that they would not be able to do our FY23 audit. So then I had to do an RFP for audit services. Posted on June 29th, and I asked for proposals on July 13th. At that time, I did not receive any proposals. I sent out approximately 11. I looked into audit services. I passed it out on ISB. Once I did not receive any, I reached out to IASBO for a recommendation of approved auditors within the state of Illinois. I did get 3 firms that they gave me. I reached out to all of them. I received questions from 2 of them. And then the only proposal I received was from Sikich LLP out of Naperville, Illinois. I included their proposal for your review. And the quote provided for the audit services is $60,000 for FY23, $62,700 for FY24, and $65,400 for FY25. And so that would be a 4.5 increase in year 2 and a 4.3 increase in year 3. So at this time, I am recommending or asking that the board accept the proposal provided by Sikich LLP for audit services for FY23, FY24, and FY25.
Move to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and a second for approval of the auditing company. Any questions or comments?
Yes, we are required to do an audit every year.
Yes, ma'am.
And as I understand it, part of the reason that the firm that we'd had before wasn't particularly interested was because we have so many funding programs, and there are all sorts of different kinds of audity things that have to be done with those, so it makes it extremely complex.
It's the amount of grants that we have.
The
and the extra
grants.
funds and the level of
Yeah.
detail.
Oh,
So-
what a problem.
And so when you said you went to IASBO, that is the association?
Yes, I'm sorry, the Illinois Association of School Business Officials.
So you went to the association you belong to of your colleagues that are on your level all over the state of Illinois, and that's how you got these recommended folks?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And so that we have to do this, and the price of it includes the fact that we have to audit so many different grant buckets. Is that accurate?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Can I also say that normally by now Clifton Larson would have begun the preliminary audit, which starts about May, June. This is now August. That audit is due by December
Oh,
by school code. I don't see it happening, so I can automatically anticipate that we're going to have to apply for an extension. Because we're not gonna make it. So we'll just put that in your mind, because this is August and we're just getting started. And we're about 3-4 months behind.
I move we apply for the extension.
I second.
That's out of order, Dr. Ashton. But we do have a motion in front of us for audit recommendation. Seeing any other questions or comments? I'm glad you got one.
I am too.
You know, so I hope we approve this, because if we don't, whoever doesn't vote no has to go find us an audit company. So there, a little pressure on you. Roll call vote, please.
Yes.
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 Yes. Motion passes 7-0. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Well done.
Good job.
Informational items.
I don't have any, I just have comments.
Go.
Welcome back, staff. Yes, tomorrow, administrators are back, staff's back today. Tomorrow we'll have a kickoff. I hope everyone is rested and recharged. For families, please take advantage of the health clinic at DHS. The shot that was missing through all of our pediatricians is now back at the clinic. And I want to say meningitis, does that make sense?
Meningitis?
12th grade, does that make sense?
Meningococcal.
Okay, it's back. We got it back in. So.
That shot.
The what?
That shot.
That
Just
shot,
say that
yes,
shot.
it's back. And so, please make sure you go ahead and get those, taken care of. We will have our kickoff tomorrow at 8 o'clock, right? Breakfast at 8.
Mm.
Yes, students return on Friday with an early dismissal, 1:15.
1:30 elementary, high school, 2:30 South. 2:02 high school. 2:02, be there.
Okay,
Where is the kickoff meeting?
the kickoff at Danville High School,
Danville High School.
8 o'clock breakfast.
Oh, okay.
Okay, thank you for the 36 staff members who, during the summer, attended the Global Leadership Summit on August 3rd and 4th. I appreciate you. And for my students, this summer, I met with the students who had the discipline infractions, as I promised I would. I met with them before they left, and they have to have a reentry conference. There were 90 certified letters that have gone out 5 weeks ago. I have met with a third. There are 60 to be done. The first day is Friday. You may not register until you meet with me.
Uh-oh.
Parents, please call Amy Eisenhower at 444-1004 to get your appointment. We're staying as late as 9 o'clock in the evening to get these students taken care of.
That number again?
444-1004. You must have your conference with the superintendent before you can enter Danville District 118 if you are on that list.
444-1004.
And you receive a certified letter, so you know
Should.
who you are. Okay? We are looking forward to a great year. I believe those conferences those are all of the high flyers. And so we are getting an understanding. Okay? I think we'll have a better year. Thank you.
Left side first.
Thank you.
Oh.
Yes.
I would like to mention that we have lost a very good substitute teacher, volunteer at the schools. Her name was Carol Dixon. She passed, and the services are Friday. But I just want to mention her because she was such a dynamic individual. And I'm looking forward to everything getting started tomorrow. I'm going to get out and visit the schools, so look for me. I'll call and ask first, but I'll be there.
I'd like to welcome our new principal, Mr. Gorley, for our Northridge Middle School, and we're going to be praying. You know it or not, I'm a pastor, so I always ask the Lord to help us with our school and with all of our administrators and teachers and parents. And so, again, we're going to do our best to be there to support you this year. And just again, all of our staff, we're just glad again for all of you returning, and we will continue to try to do everything we can as a board member to support you. And so again, we just, again, welcome you all back to this new school year.
I would also like to welcome back our staff. Tomorrow's the first day for teachers, right? Today, okay. Has anybody been by schools previously, like in the last week, and seen all of the cars in the parking lot? Our teachers have gone back to work way before they had to. And I appreciate
Always
that
do.
so much. They always do. So thank you, teachers, and thank you for all of you that have done so much. Mr. Brett's, a huge thank you to you. You have put in hours this summer. And God bless you and the guidance counselors and the challenge that they've had, and especially with only 3 of them, they have their hands full. So thank you for all the work that you've done. Mr. Gorley, welcome. It is nice for you to come back home. I love it when people come back home. So have a good year, and thank you for your leadership.
I wanted to say that I was at the new teacher orientation yesterday briefly, and that room over at the Jackson Building was packed with a bunch of excited, smiling faces. And we are, for everyone who chose, including you, Mr. Gorley, for everyone who chose Danville, we're grateful that you're here. We want you to have an amazing year. Thank you for loving our kids in advance. And for our families that are getting ready to entrust us with your children, thank you. Thank you for entrusting us to your children. We want to live up to what your expectations are. Make this a great year. Kids, apply yourselves. It's going to be an incredible, incredible year. Very excited to see the new these are the new faces at Northridge, the whole administrative team. You got a blank canvas. You guys are going to do an incredible job there. I'm really excited for that. Thank you for the administrators who are here. I know that it's a long week for you, and we're grateful that you chose to be here at this board meeting. And Mr. Bretz, thank you for calling out your students by name in the public comments. I loved hearing about all of the good things that are being done even before the actual before school starts. We love hearing their names. We love hearing all the good that's done. Thanks to our staff for getting everything rolling, and to our administrative team here in the Phillips building, the Jackson building, for all the things that you do behind the scenes, because it's massive for keeping the ship sailing, including you, Dr. Geddes and Mr. Hart and Mrs. Robinson. I'm done now.
Okay.
I also want to say ditto to what has been said, and especially to our principal there at Northridge. May the Lord bless you, as Dr. Miller has said. We will be praying for you, because we know it's a huge undertaking to make that transition from where you at to back here at home. Things have changed since the last time you were here. So but we thank you. And again to Mr. Bretz, the work that you all have done in sharing with making adjustments for the graduates. I know that was not an easy task, but we take our hats off to you in being able to share that with us and come up with what you feel is the best proposal for the students here at the high school. So may the Lord bless you in your endeavor. And to this wonderful superintendent, who's been doing an outstanding job since you've been here in Danville. We continue to pray for you, because we know that I'm going to use this expression: you damned if you do, and you're damned if you don't. So we applaud you for what you have done. And again, like I said, it's not been easy, but God bless you. And so you all are hitting the ground running, and that's wonderful to see. So again, keep up the good work.
I kind of want to, what they said too, with the thanking of the staff. A lot of people don't realize what goes into getting these buildings up and going, and it is an enormous job. I'd like to say thank you to all the staff who's been working all summer to get the buildings ready. especially with all the construction going on. It's a lot. To the staff returning to the buildings today, thank you for your dedication and your endurance. I'm praying for all of you for that. To the secretaries, thank you for the long hours you're putting in, especially IT. Our new system, Q system, it's a lot. So I thank you all for the patience. Just hang in there. I think it's going to get better, is what I'm being told. It's going to be great when it's up and running all the way. So IT, thank you. I know you guys are putting in a lot of hours for that. I've had to call several times myself. The admin, I know we've switched a lot of admins around this year, taking on new buildings. Thank you for taking that on. Staff, I pray that you have patience with them as they're in new buildings, new admins themselves coming out of the teacher position into administration. Thank you for taking that on. To our families, I know you've been frustrated with registration to some degree, with our passwords being locked out and everything. Thank you for your patience and being kind to our IT department. I do appreciate that. I also want to give a shout out to our JRTC cadets that helped with the freshman orientation. I just thought it was cute that our cadets led the freshmen around in the high school. So I just want to give a shout out. I know they've been putting a lot of hours into that program, volunteer hours from their summer. So I just wanted to say thank you for that. And I just pray that we have a good year. And literally pray that we have a good year. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, so thanks to everybody, staff. This is a well-oiled machine that works all together, and it takes everybody. It takes the teachers, it takes the maintenance, it takes technology, it takes all the curriculum planning. I'm looking at every face out there. It takes all of you. All of you have to do your job. Mr. Gorley, thank you, and welcome, even though you're a hilltopper. That's okay. We'll get you the proper paraphernalia so you'll be acclimated. But it's a huge machine. Our district is a huge machine, and all the parts. Sometimes our parts work together. Sometimes our parts work against each other. It appears that way, but we all have the same goal. We do have this goal, and we do have a goal, and it's actually a beautiful thing that school starts now, and we end up at graduation day, that day when we're all out there and it's outside again, and isn't it? It's a wonderful day, and we have like little kids coming in to pre-K, right? And then we're going to have them hopefully all the way till they're in 12th grade. And we are responsible for them. And these are the people that get the job done, plus the other people out there. But it takes everybody. It takes all of you. So I'm going to speak for the 7 of us. We appreciate every single one of you out there. We can't keep telling you enough. We'd be doing it all the time. But we kind of get an idea what it takes. It's mind-boggling. So if we don't thank you all the time, it isn't because we don't appreciate you. It's just because we're doing other stuff too. So thank you again. You've heard a lot of thank yous up here. We really, really, truly do mean it. And with that, go forth and have an unbelievably great year. Thank you very much, and we are adjourned.
Dr. Aston, I'm sorry, I forgot something.
Go ahead.
If it's okay, our church is going to have a back-to-school rally, the 18th and the 19th. That's a Friday at 6, Saturday at noon. And we're going to do everything we can to, help our students also prepare for the school year by encouraging them.
18th and 19th, back to school rally.
Yep, New Life Church of Faith.
New Life Church.
Yep.
Be there, be square.
Yes.
Thank you, guys. Have a wonderful one. Thank you very much.